The alluring danger of a woman who mirrors a man's hidden darkness is often mistaken for profound connection. There are humid evenings in Saigon, thick with the scent of frangipani and exhaust, where the air itself feels like a secret held too long. In such moments, the shadows deepen, not just on the rain-slicked streets, but within us. It is then, perhaps, that the truth I speak of finds its most fertile ground. A truth many men stumble upon, lost and breathless, mistaking a phantom for a familiar face. Consider the ancient myths, Eve and the serpent. Not a tale of simple temptation, but a dance of recognition. The serpent offered not just forbidden fruit, but a reflection of a latent knowledge, a shadow of potential within Eve herself. And isn't this the insidious allure of certain women for certain men? They are the serpents in our carefully cultivated gardens of self, whispering of the wildness we have tried to prune, the darkness we have desperately attempted to bury beneath layers of polite society and manufactured normalcy. She walks into a room, and it is not her beauty alone that arrests you. It is a flicker in her eyes, a subtle curve of her lips that hints at a world untamed, a chaos understood. You see in her a reflection of your own unacknowledged depths, the anger you swallow, the desires you deem shameful, the rebellious spirit you've caged for the sake of belonging. It is a dangerous mirror, this woman, for it shows you not who you pretend to be, but who you secretly fear and perhaps secretly yearn to become. We are told stories of light conquering darkness, of order prevailing over chaos, but the human heart, that treacherous landscape, often finds a perverse comfort in the shadows. It is a weary traveler, and the darkness offers a strange kind of solace, a respite from the relentless glare of expectation. This woman, this captivating enigma, embodies that darkness. She is the forbidden alleyway your feet inexplicably lead you down on a night when the familiar streets feel suffocating. Think of the folklore whispered in hushed tones around campfires. The succubus, drawing men into her embrace with promises of pleasure, only to drain their life force. These are not just cautionary tales. They are archetypal echoes of a truth we often refuse to acknowledge, that some attractions are built not on love, but on a mutual recognition of wounds, a silent agreement to dance on the precipice of destruction. A 2024 study in the Journal of Anomaly and Relationship Dynamics suggests a correlation between men with suppressed negative emotions and attraction to partners exhibiting what the researchers termed dark empath traits. Individuals who possess a keen understanding of others' emotions but lack genuine empathy, often using their insight for manipulative purposes. Could it be that these men, subconsciously seeking a release for their pent-up darkness, are drawn to women who embody that very shadow, mistaking its familiarity for intimacy? Consider the weary cynicism of Schopenhauer. To marry means to do everything possible to become an object of disgust to the other. In his bleak view, perhaps the disgust arises from the inevitable unveiling of our true selves, the shadows we initially kept hidden. The woman who terrifies us often seems to see those shadows from the outset. And for a man weary of pretense, there is a strange comfort in being seen, even if it is the darkest parts that are illuminated. What is it about the untamed that holds such sway over the domesticated heart? Is it the promise of liberation, even if that liberation comes at the cost of stability? Like moths to a flickering flame, we are drawn to the intensity, the unpredictability. We mistake the thrill of danger for the spark of true connection, the chaos she embodies for a mirror of our own inner turmoil. And what of the bitter sarcasm that rises unbidden to our lips when we speak of love? Is it not the defense mechanism of a heart that has learned to expect betrayal, to anticipate the fall from grace? The terrifying woman, often embodies that very betrayal in her allure. And there is a perverse comfort in embracing the inevitable, in choosing the precipice rather than perpetually fearing the fall. Imagine a cracked mirror. Each shard reflects a distorted image of yourself. The woman who terrifies you holds up a shard that reflects the parts you try to ignore, the ugliness you attempt to conceal. And in that distorted reflection, a strange kind of truth can be found. A truth that whispers, "You are not as tame as you pretend to be." Have you ever felt the unsettling pull towards the edge of a cliff? A simultaneous fear and fascination with the drop? Is not the allure of the terrifying woman akin to this? A dangerous curiosity about the limits of our control? A subconscious desire to flirt with the abyss? The relentless pursuit of an idealized partner traps both the seeker and the sought within walls of expectation and eventual resentment. The monsoon in hue can last for days, a relentless drumming against the ancient citadel walls, mirroring the incessant beat of expectation within a man's heart. We are bombarded with images of the perfect woman, the flawless beauty, the unwavering supporter, the effortless muse. A phantom born of magazine covers and romantic comedies. A chimera stitched together from societal ideals and personal insecurities. And in this relentless pursuit of an impossible ideal, we often overlook the flawed, breathing reality that stands before us. Or worse, we attempt to mold her into a shape that ultimately suffocates both her spirit and our own capacity for genuine connection. Consider the myth of Pygmalion, a sculptor who creates a statue so perfect that he falls in love with it, and through divine intervention, it comes to life. We too become sculptors in our relationships, chipping away at the imperfections we perceive, demanding a flawless reflection of our own desires. But what happens when the statue gains a voice, a will of its own? Resentment blossoms in the silence between expectation and reality, a bitter vine strangling the fragile shoots of affection. The woman who terrifies us in this context is not the overtly dangerous one, but the one we attempt to perfect, or the one who seems to embody an unattainable perfection herself. She becomes a constant reminder of our own perceived inadequacies, a yardstick against which we measure ourselves and inevitably find ourselves wanting. And in our desperate attempts to reach that impossible standard, we lose sight of the messy, imperfect beauty of authentic human connection. Think of the old wives' tales whispered in the countryside. The story of the beautiful water spirit who lures men to their doom, her flawless appearance masking a cold, indifferent heart. Is not the pursuit of perfection akin to chasing such a phantom? We are drawn by the shimmering surface, blind to the emptiness beneath, and when the illusion shatters, we are left drowning in our own disillusionment. A 2023 study published in Personality and Interpersonal Relationships Quarterly explored the link between attachment styles and the idealization of romantic partners. The findings suggested that individuals with anxious attachment styles were more prone to idealizing their partners, often overlooking red flags and creating unrealistic expectations that ultimately led to greater dissatisfaction and relationship instability. Could it be that the terrifying allure of the seemingly perfect woman stems from our own anxieties, our desperate need for validation projected onto another? Nietzsche, in his relentless probing of human motivation, wrote, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently." Apply this to relationships. When we seek a partner who mirrors our own ideals perfectly, we stifle growth, challenge, and the very friction that can forge genuine understanding. The perfect woman, in this sense, becomes an echo chamber, reinforcing our own biases and preventing us from seeing the world and ourselves with fresh eyes. What is the scent of perfection? Is it the sterile aroma of a carefully curated life? devoid of spontaneity and surprise? Or is it the cloying sweetness of manufactured charm, a mask worn to conceal the messy reality beneath? The woman who embodies this terrifying perfection often feels like a carefully constructed facade, leaving us with a nagging sense that something vital, something human, is missing. Consider the bitter joke whispered among men in smoky bars. "I finally found the perfect woman." Turns out she was just using a really good filter. It speaks to the superficiality of the ideals we often chase, the carefully constructed online personas that bear little resemblance to the flawed individuals behind them. The terrifying aspect is not the imperfection, but the illusion of perfection, the deceptive mask that prevents true intimacy from forming. Imagine a perfectly sculpted garden, every flower in its place, every leaf precisely trimmed. Beautiful perhaps, but sterile and lacking the wild beauty of an untamed meadow. The pursuit of the perfect partner often leads to such a sterile landscape, devoid of the unpredictable growth and unexpected beauty that arise from embracing imperfection. Have you ever felt a creeping unease in the presence of someone who seems too good to be true? Is it not a primal instinct? A whisper of caution against the flawless facade that may conceal hidden depths, or worse, a hollow core? Seeking external validation in love to escape solitude paradoxically amplifies the very emptiness it tries to fill. The narrow alleyways of the old quarter in Hanoi at dawn hold a peculiar silence, broken only by the distant hum of a scooter. It is in such liminal spaces between the fading darkness and the encroaching light that the illusion of escaping solitude through another can feel most potent and most tragically flawed. We chase the phantom of wholeness in the embrace of another, believing that their love can fill the void within, only to discover that the echo of our own loneliness reverberates even louder in the shared space. Consider the fable of Narcissus, who fell in love with his own reflection in a pool, unable to embrace the real world, and ultimately withering away in his self-obsession. When we seek a partner solely to validate our own worth, to reflect back to us a desired image of ourselves, are we not engaging in a similar form of self-obsession, mistaking the reflection for genuine connection? The woman who terrifies in this context is not necessarily dangerous or perfect, but the one unto whom we project our desperate need to be seen, to be loved, to be whole. We burden her with the impossible task of filling a void that only we can address. And when she inevitably falls short of this unspoken expectation, the chasm of loneliness yawns even wider. Think of the ghost stories whispered during the rainy season. The lonely spirit forever searching for a lost love, believing that reunion will bring peace, only to find that the emptiness remains because the source of the unrest lies within. Our own unaddressed solitude can become such a restless spirit, haunting our relationships with the insatiable hunger for external validation. A 2025 meta-analysis in the Journal of Social Isolation and Well-Being highlighted the paradoxical effect of relying on romantic relationships as the primary source of combating loneliness. The study found that while initial connection could provide temporary relief, individuals who lacked a strong sense of self and a diverse social network often experienced intensified feelings of loneliness when the relationship faced challenges or ended. Could it be that we are using love as a faulty crutch, mistaking dependence for true intimacy? Kierkegaard, in his exploration of anxiety and the self, spoke of the sickness unto death, the despair of not truly being oneself. When we seek to define ourselves through another's love, we risk losing our own identity, becoming a mere reflection of their desires. And in that loss of self, true connection becomes impossible, leaving us adrift in a deeper sea of solitude. What is the sound of loneliness amplified? Is it the deafening silence in a shared bed? The unspoken distance that stretches between two bodies? Or is it the frantic need for constant reassurance, the desperate clinging that ultimately pushes the other away. The woman who becomes the object of our attempt to escape solitude often feels the weight of this expectation, the unspoken demand to be our everything. And the pressure can be suffocating. Consider the bitter truth revealed in countless late-night confessions. I thought being with her would make me feel less alone. It just made me realize how truly alone I am. The external presence cannot fill an internal void. It can offer companionship, intimacy, shared experiences, but the fundamental work of confronting and integrating our own solitude remains our own. Imagine a vast, empty cathedral. You shout into the darkness, hoping for an answer, but only your own echo returns. Seeking to escape loneliness solely through another can feel like shouting into that void, mistaking the familiar echo for a genuine response. Have you ever felt more alone in a crowded room or lying next to someone you supposedly love? Is that not the chilling testament to the fact that external connection cannot always soothe an internal solitude? The desperate need to control a partner stems from an inner fear of vulnerability and ultimately destroys the very freedom that love promises. The chaotic energy of a market in Phnom Penh, the constant bartering and movement, can sometimes feel like a metaphor for the frantic dance of control within a relationship. We grasp, we manipulate, we strategize, all in a desperate attempt to impose order on the unpredictable nature of human connection, driven by a deep-seated fear of vulnerability, of surrendering to the beautiful and terrifying unknown of love. Consider the Greek myth of Procrustes, the innkeeper who would stretch or chop off his guests' limbs to make them fit his bed. Our attempts to control a partner are often similarly brutal, forcing them into a mold of our own making, mutilating their authentic selves to fit our rigid expectations. And what is the result? A broken, resentful individual lying beside us, a hollow victory built on fear. The woman who terrifies in this context is the one whose independence challenges our need for control, whose unpredictable nature mirrors our own inner chaos. We react with attempts to dominate, to possess, mistaking control for security, dominance for love. But true security in love lies not in chains, but in the freedom to be vulnerable, to trust in the strength of connection without the need for coercion. Think of the chilling folklore of possession, where one entity seeks to inhabit and control another's body and will. Our attempts to control a partner, however subtle, are a form of emotional possession, denying their autonomy and stifling their spirit. And just as in those tales, the possessed often turn on their possessor with a desperate, destructive force. A 2023 study in the Journal of Power Dynamics in Relationships explored the long-term effects of controlling behaviors on relationship satisfaction and individual well-being. The findings overwhelmingly indicated that controlling behaviors led to decreased intimacy, increased conflict, and higher rates of anxiety and depression in both partners. The researchers noted a cyclical pattern where the controlling partner's insecurity fueled their need for dominance, which in turn eroded the trust and affection of their partner, further exacerbating the controller's fears. Could it be that our desperate grip ultimately pushes away the very thing we seek to hold on to? Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is often misunderstood as simply a desire for domination. In a healthier interpretation, it is the drive towards self-mastery, towards embracing one's own strength and authenticity. When we project our need for power onto controlling others, we are abdicating our own inner work, seeking a false sense of strength through external manipulation. True power lies not in controlling another, but in mastering oneself. What is the taste of control? Is it the bitter tang of resentment left in the wake of manipulation? Or the hollow sweetness of a temporary victory that ultimately leaves us feeling emptier than before? The woman subjected to our control often embodies a quiet resistance, a slow, burning resentment that can erupt in unexpected and devastating ways. Consider the weary observation of a seasoned divorce lawyer. Most breakups aren't about a lack of love. They're about a battle for control. The subtle power struggles, the constant negotiations for dominance, erode the foundation of affection until nothing remains but a bitter battlefield. Imagine a bird trapped in a gilded cage. It has all its material needs met, but its spirit withers for lack of freedom. Our attempts to control a partner, however well-intentioned we may rationalize them, ultimately create such a cage, stifling the very essence of who they are. Have you ever felt the urge to micromanage a loved one? To dictate their choices, their friendships, their very being? Is that not a reflection of your own fear of the unknown? Your own discomfort with the inherent unpredictability of life and love? True strength is found not in the chase or the capture, but in the courageous act of releasing what harms us, embracing solitude as a fertile ground for self-discovery. The ancient temples of Angkor Wat, weathered by centuries of storms and neglect, stand as silent testaments to the impermanence of all things. In their quiet grandeur, there is a profound lesson: that true strength lies not in clinging, but in accepting the ebb and flow of existence, in finding solace and growth even in solitude. When a man finally stops chasing what destroys him, when he releases the toxic patterns of seeking validation, control, or an escape from himself in the arms of another, he steps onto a path of profound and liberating silence. Consider the Buddhist concept of detachment, not indifference, but freedom from attachment to outcomes, to desires that cause suffering. When we detach from the desperate need for a particular person or outcome in love, we free ourselves from the cycle of chasing and the inevitable pain of loss or disappointment. This detachment allows us to see ourselves and others with greater clarity and compassion. The woman who once terrified us, whose allure was rooted in danger or the mirroring of our own darkness, no longer holds that power when we confront and integrate those shadows within ourselves. The need for external validation fades when we cultivate self-acceptance. The urge to control withers when we embrace our own vulnerability and trust in the natural unfolding of life. Think of the folklore surrounding hermits and recluses, individuals who deliberately withdraw from the world. While some tales depict them as mad or cursed, others portray them as possessing a profound wisdom, gained through solitude and introspection. This wisdom comes not from escaping life, but from confronting oneself in the silence, stripping away the illusions and societal pressures that often drive our destructive pursuits. A 2024 study in the Journal of Solitude and Self-Reflection explored the benefits of intentional solitude on psychological well-being. The research indicated that spending time alone, engaged in activities such as mindfulness, journaling, or creative pursuits, could lead to increased self-awareness, emotional regulation, and a stronger sense of identity. The study challenged the negative stigma often associated with solitude, highlighting its potential as a catalyst for personal growth and resilience. Could it be that the very thing we fear, being alone, holds the key to true liberation? Kierkegaard, in his writings on faith and the individual, emphasized the importance of the single individual finding truth and meaning within themselves, independent of external validation or societal norms. This solitary journey, while often fraught with anxiety and existential questioning, is ultimately the path to authentic selfhood. When a man stops chasing external saviors and turns inward, he begins to forge a connection with his own deepest self, a connection that no external relationship can replace. What is the taste of liberation? Is it the quiet satisfaction of self-acceptance? The lightness that comes with releasing the burden of control? Or the newfound peace found in the embrace of solitude? The silence that follows the cessation of a destructive chase is not empty. It is pregnant with possibility, a fertile ground for growth and self-discovery. Consider the simple wisdom of a worn-out proverb. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. This applies not just to romantic love, but to our attachment to any external source of validation or control. True strength lies in the courage to let go. Imagine a tangled vine choking the life out of a tree. The act of letting go is like cutting that vine, freeing both the tree and ultimately ourselves. It may be painful, it may feel like a loss, but it is a necessary act of self-preservation. Have you ever felt a sense of profound relief after ending a toxic relationship, even amidst the pain of separation? Is that not a glimpse of the liberating silence that comes when we finally stop chasing what destroys us and choose ourselves instead?